Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first science class podcast. This is Honors Science here. This is actually episode 1. I know I said my first episode was going to be with the host, but that's not until tomorrow night, so look forward to that. The first guest I'm going to have on the podcast is going to be, her name is Tish Johnson. She's actually a coworker of mine from work, and she's actually working on writing down topics and stuff that she wants to talk about, stuff to that nature. But that won't be until tomorrow night. But tonight, I figured I would just do a solo podcast. And what it's going to be about, pretty much, is a bunch of different stuff, really. I'm going to go ahead and start it off with back in summer 2008, I think it was. Me and my friends, we went to Canal Road just about every day. The reason why is it was like this castle. It's like a tore down castle the way it looked. And there was like a fireplace like engraved into it. This was like right in the middle of the woods, by the way. And we used to go there every day to have a fire. We would ride our bikes up there. And just the time it took to get there, because we used to live on the north end of Hamilton, in case most of you guys know where that is, because most of you guys are going to be listening to this that live in Hamilton. And it took us about 20 minutes to get there. We always rode our bikes there, and there was always there's a scrapyard on the left, and we drive past that all the time and look at all the graffiti and all that stuff. There's a lot of good memories there. But one night, there was like 10 of us. I'm not going to mention any names. If you're listening and you went with me before, you probably know who you are anyways. But there was one night I went with my friend and his stepdad, who was an ex-Navy SEAL, I think he was. He was a pretty cool guy. His name was Charles. There's a name for you. But we're around the fire one night, and it started getting cold in the middle of summer. We're like, what the fuck is going on? So, and plus it was like 10 o'clock and I had a bedtime, considering I was probably 12, I think. Oh no, this was 10 years ago when this happened, and I still remember the exact night. And we started making our way out, and we went out, and on our way out, there was these woods that like curved over, made like a tunnel, and these bats started coming out and like swarming us. So we started running. We got on our bikes and stuff, and we went down Canal Road a little bit more. We went to the scrapyard, or next to the scrapyard, and one of our friends decides to throw a rock at the scrapyard door, and the workers come out, and they have Rottweilers on leashes and shit, and they're like trying to attack us and bite us and stuff. And we're like, whoa, what the fuck? And they're like, you really need to not come here no more doing this shit. This is disruption of property. Next time we'll call the police. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I might call the fucking police on you for almost getting me killed by that fucking dog. Anyways, after our little, affair with them, we went down Canal Road a little bit more, approached the bridge area, and then we started smelling like a fire, like something burning or something. So we looked back, and we see these 3 people. They were lined up from shortest to tallest for some reason. And we started going towards them, because they didn't really look like spirits or anything. They were just looked like people, pretty much, that was just walking in the middle of the road. So we walked towards them, and nobody was there. They literally vanished in front of our eyes. And you might not believe me, might not. But if you don't believe me, just leave a comment, and I'll give you a list of the names of people that was there, and they'll tell you the same exact story that I just told you. So after we seen that shit, we fucking booked it out of there, got on our bikes, took off. Still remember that to this day. And that's what I'm going to go into next, my fascination with the paranormal. After that moment, I got kind of interested in it, and I started getting on the internet, looking up haunted locations and all that, and it turns out Canal Road's not even on there. although I did do some research, and there's been several drownings. There's actually a plane crash back in the 60s, I think it was. I called some of the residents and stuff because I wanted to do an investigation there, and they're like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There's a bunch of hillbillies pretty much, just, yeah, I don't know, I hunt on my property and stuff like that. So other places I've been to that are pretty cool are the Oxford Light. All of you have been there. Everybody's been to Oxford Light. It's the most popular one around here, probably. Saying that, like, I went there several times, and there's several times where I went and I was high, I was drunk, and I was sober too most of the time when I went. Most of the time, probably about 75% of the time, we actually did see the Oxford Light. There's a lot of rumors going around and stuff saying that there's just some old man with a flashlight that comes out of his house and flashes his light. And I can tell you that is not true, because there's sometimes we went, like right after we seen the light, we would go like 60 up the hill towards it. And there's no way, because it's pretty close to the mailbox you have to park next to. There is no way that he could move out that fast. I mean, we got out of the car, up the hill, went in the bushes. We were on it when we seen that shit on the internet, that story. And we can tell you right now that it's not true. I'm telling you, the story is just not true. But another place that is pretty cool is Helltown, Ohio, which is probably the most disturbing but beautiful place I've ever been to. It's right next to Cleveland. We went up there one night. It was me and my friend Tristan and his friend, I believe her name is Delaney, is her name? I don't know, but I got my oil changed that morning. Had little to no sleep, and we were just like, fuck it, let's go to Helltown. So we went. It was a 4-hour drive there. We only stayed there for 2 hours, and it was a 5-hour drive back because I was so tired. I kept passing up exits. I was fucking falling asleep on the highway. It was just a mess. But on our way there, it was about 50 degrees in Hamilton. When we got to like Columbus, Cleveland, up north a little bit more, it was probably 30 degrees. But we stopped in Columbus because they'd never been to Columbus, and I told them how fucking awesome it is and how it looks and stuff. And we got there. It was nighttime, and we got to see the skyline and stuff. It was a pretty fun experience, except we got lost. Then we ended up at Kroger because Tristan had to get a car charger for the GPS. And we were just like riding around the streets and stuff, just there's just a shit ton of people compared to Hamilton, like the traffic. I think it's the fact that there's like a college campus up there with Ohio State and stuff like that. But that was a pretty cool experience, stopping in Columbus on the way there. Now, when we get there, it's probably about an hour, 2 hours maybe away from Columbus, up more north. So we got there, got out of the car, and it's 2 miles from the gate, the entrance area, or whatever it is. So we were jogging in that. We were literally jogging because it was just a layer of ice. And there were some parts where we had to like jump up on the grass area to not fall on the ice. And our shoes were muddy. It was just a mess. But when we got to the end of it, we went to some abandoned houses. There were some abandoned barns. There's a slaughterhouse and stuff there. There was also a bunch of deer traps, like man-made, like just ghetto-ass deer traps everywhere. There were some pretty cool bridges. They're like wooden stringed bridges, just like randomly throughout the woods. And they're long as fuck, too. And it's just like something you see out of like an old jungle movie or something like that. But we were walking in the woods a little bit, and we came across this like cliff that went on a downwards angle, and there was a bench on top of it. So we literally we're just like shocked that we've seen it. So I guess we just fucking sat down and just stared at the waterfall. And it was like 30 degrees, and we're sitting there freezing, but the scenery is just so beautiful. I mean, the snow just made it even so much better. And that's another thing. There was no snow on the ground in Hamilton. We got to Columbus and Cleveland. It was a fucking. It's like they were snowed in for like a year. There was just snow everywhere. But we stayed there for 2 hours, like I said, and on the way back through that 2 mile hike, the ice broke. And when it broke, we were knee deep in the ice, and it was freezing. So we are jogging. Each step we take punctures the ice, and it would, like I said, this was like 2 miles, the length to get back to the car. By the time we got back there, I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel my feet. I was freezing. The heat didn't help her shit. And then I took off my sock and I noticed my toenail was black. And I was like, I think I got frostbite. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. And still today, my toenail is black. And every time I look at it, I'm just like, yeah, I shouldn't have went to Helltown. I really shouldn't have done that. And that's probably the best paranormal place I've been to. I didn't see anything paranormal, but I feel like if you went there like during the summer where you was comfortable and you weren't covered in fucking ice and snow and have time to think and relax, you'd be able to see some pretty creepy shit if you went there. And off to a different topic we got here. I actually wrote some topics down for this podcast because this is my first one and this is a solo, so I don't have anybody to keep me entertained or bombarded with questions. So on to the next topic. I want to talk about me growing up with gaming. So I started gaming, I say it was probably in 2000, 2001. That's when I first started. I had a PlayStation 1 and I only had one game on it, and it was the Pizza Hut. It was like a Pizza Hut demo, I think it was. It had Metal Gear Solid 1, a Spyro, I think it was the original Spyro, and this Bugs Life demo. I don't know, but that's what started it all. The next year, I got me a PlayStation 2, and first game I actually got was Enter the Matrix, and that game got me hooked. Another thing, PlayStation 2 was the first system, I think, for DVD compatible. So I remember playing Enter the Matrix all day, then falling asleep to Big Mama's house as a DVD. I didn't even watch cable, I just watched DVDs. But Enter the Matrix, like, a funny story about that game is there was a rumor going around saying that if you went through the whole game without getting shot, you got to play as Neo. Now, during the actual game, you get to play with either Ghost or Niobe. So, a couple years after that, I found out that that was just a rumor. And to think back, if I would have done all that work, went through the whole game without getting shot once, and I didn't get to play as Neo, I'd be pretty pissed off. Like, that would be a horrible experience, and I would probably throw my PlayStation against the fucking wall if that happened. And then after Enter the Matrix, I started playing Grand Theft Auto. Vice City was a good one. A funny story about Grand Theft Auto Vice City is I remember because it's like a timeline. You can use games as timelines. Like, you can think about like what your life was like when you was playing Vice City, or what it was like when you was playing Call of Duty World at War. I mean, each time frame, if you played them all growing up, you're going to have different. It's just like a timeline, pretty much. I don't know how else to describe it. But with Vice City, what I liked about that one is I had two cousins that would stay the night on weekends. I think it was Friday night because we didn't have school, and they would take turns. One of them would stay the night one week, and the other one would stay the night the next week. And I remember my mom, she always made like cupcakes and stuff for us, and brownies, and we would stay up late and play Grand Theft Auto. And there was one day they were both over, and how it always worked at my house was when one person died, it was the other person's turn, just to make things go quicker. And if we had a problem with that, my mom or dad or somebody would take the PlayStation away, and said, well, you can work it out somewhere else. And one day, one of our cousins, it was his turn, and we decided to put in the cheat code. Everybody comes after you, I think it was called. So we just hand him the controller. We're sitting there just watching him laughing hysterically. And nothing's even happened yet. And he's going to his motorcycle. He gets on the motorcycle. He drives down the street a little bit. And these people just come out of nowhere. I think it was next to the mall. If you guys remember, the mall was in White City. He's going around that corner right there. And they just fucking bombarded him like zombies. Like, they took him off his bike, beat his ass. And I think we also put in the cheat code where everybody gets weapons. And that was funny too, because they were just lighting his ass up. And whenever it was our turn, we would take the cheat codes off. And he was just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, he didn't know, because we didn't tell him about cheat codes or nothing. He didn't know. And he would also be like, how'd you guys get all those fucking weapons? You guys didn't kill any cops. And I'm like, well, we're just that good. And after that era of gaming, I moved on to like Call of Duty. Another fun one that I remember, I think it was 007 Agent Under Fire or something. That's really what got me in the first person shooters, because I lived on the north end, like I told you guys, and I remember having split screen set up. Same two cousins and more family would come over, and we would sit there. We would play 007 split screen all day. We would go down to the little corner store called North End Market, Tony's, whatever you want to call it. You guys know what that is. We would get, I think there were like dollar bags of mixed candy, and we would just sit there and just eat candy and play 007 all day, not have a worry or a care about anything. That is all we did. And that's another good, like I said, time frame. But after the PlayStation, moved on to the PlayStation 3. I think I got that for my dad got it for me for Christmas one year. First ever online multiplayer game I played was Skate 3. Or no, wow, Skate 1 actually. And that was pretty fun because I never really played a game online, and playing skate against other people. It was challenging, but pretty good learning experience. Then I moved on to games like GTA 4, Call of Duty World at War, which got me into Call of Duty actually. That and Call of Duty Modern Warfare. PlayStation 3 days weren't really that great. I didn't really know many people that played PlayStation. That's why I moved on to the Xbox 360, which pretty much everybody in my high school class had. So all of us after school, sophomore and junior year. Senior year is a different story. I'll get to that here in a minute. But sophomore year and junior year, everybody be on Xbox after school. Everybody. So there's actually some nights where half of our class would just stay up all night playing Xbox, and we would go to school the next day and we'd just sleep the whole period away. Like we'd see each other in school suspension. Like, this is from last week, huh? Slept through class and played Xbox. And they're like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we got a problem. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Now, like I said, I'm going to get to it. Senior year was actually a different story. I was still gaming and stuff a lot. Having a lot of fun with gaming. It's always been a good part of my life. But started smoking pot and stuff, as you all know, which really isn't a bad thing. I mean, I just kind of got a little bit too crazy with it. Not like I was addicted or anything, but I was just too into it, I guess, like a hobby. And one day, well, we had this routine actually. I would wake up, get ready for school, go to the bus stop, smoke a blunt, get on the bus, go to school, and at school they had this ping pong table set up where you get to play ping pong with the teachers and stuff in the hallway. But what I did was, which is really fucking stupid, I would go there, go behind the school, or meet up with my friend every day. We would smoke a blunt behind the school, and then go into the school, and we would play ping pong with the teachers high as shit. And that continued. Shit, that lasted like 2 months. We did that every day that we had to school. One day we did it, and I was sitting in class, first period, high as shit, just staring at the teacher and just not knowing what the fuck he was talking about. And if he called on me, I knew if he called on me, I would be fucked, because he would call on me, and I would just be like, what? Like, that would be the end of it if he called me. Like, I was that high at the moment. Well, one day I'm sitting there, and I'm high, just staring, and the paraprofessional comes into the room, reckless as shit, and he looks at me straight in my high fucking marijuana eyes, and he says, hey, you, come here. And my heart just dropped. It's like, oh shit, what the fuck's going on? So, took my ass to the office. My other friend, I was seated right next to him, and we're just staring at each other high as shit, like, whoa, what the fuck's going on? It's like we got sent to outer space or something on the same spaceship, is how it felt. So I got called in the office, and I was like, shit, what is this about? I'm not even thinking about that. I got caught smoking. It's like, wait, why are we both in here then? They're on to something. They're going to search us. I mean, I didn't have any weed on me, but I was still paranoid about it. The principal calls me in the office, and she says, yeah, you and your buddy was caught smoking pot on school grounds this morning. And after that statement, I think I was pretty sober after hearing that. I was just a wreck. And I was like, well, what happens now? And she's like, well, you got two options. You can either be expelled from this facility, or you can go to rehab for, like she said, 30 days or something at Sojourner. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'll just go to Sojourner. So I went to Sojourner, took the piss test and everything to get my THC level. And they sent me a letter in the mail with my results. And they said, yeah, you have one of the highest THC contents we ever seen. And it is mandatory that you take a half-year program. And that's the moment where I got on my computer, got on ecot.com, had homeschooling equipment sent to my house, and then went back to Hamilton High, and I said, nope, I'm not going to rehab for weed. I'm not going to do it. So I guess expel me, because I'm not coming back here. So I started homeschooling, and that's that story. That's what happened, my high school career, in case most of you guys were like, yeah, he was in class one day. I don't know where the fuck he went. I think he died. That's where I went. Now you know. On YouTube, like 7 years later, you finally have an answer, in case you haven't messaged me and asked me. Another thing with smoking weed and stuff, the only other drug I did besides weed was LSD, which I'm about to explain to you. That, well, you gotta include alcohol and chewing tobacco too, but, you know, never fucking shot up or snorted coke or killed a prostitute or anything like that. But LSD, my experience with that is, me and my friends just decided to do it one day. We took a blotter, which is dissolved on the tongue form. We were walking around Hamilton. We ended up next to the basketball court on Joe Nuxall on the north end. And we walked down that little path next to the sex rock, they call it. And we were staring over to the cornfield, and I started to hear police sirens, which isn't really surprising. But the crazy thing about that is, I heard the police sirens, and I looked into the cornfield, and for some reason, the cornfield started flashing red, white, and blue. Because what I heard, the police sirens, and I knew that police sirens were red, white, and blue. So I guess for some reason my mind just combined all that together, and there you go, you have a red, white, and blue cornfield. That's how my mind just processed it, I guess. And as the police car went away, the colors started to fade a little bit, which I thought that was probably the best experience I had on it. Other than that, we went up by Garfield Middle School. We were up on the stairs. Like, this is a lot of crazy shit to do while you're tripping, but we decided to go all out. We were up there on the field, up on top of the field, on top of the stairs. staring down the Hamilton, and we were just like disgusted because it's Hamilton. But then again, we were like amazed because this was the peak of the experience at that time, and we seen all the lights on the buildings and stuff, and they were all kind of like the lights were like communicating, like they were forming one source up in the sky above them, and that was pretty interesting. And after that, we decided to go pool hopping, which was stupid. I jumped in the pool, and I was like, yeah, swimming just doesn't feel right now. I don't know what I'm doing. So after that, we separated, went our own separate ways, went home, figured I'd go to sleep. Couldn't. Had closed eye hallucinations for probably about an hour or two because I was trying to go to sleep. So I said, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to go to my friend's house and know he's awake. We're going to smoke. So we did that. Pretty much wore off like 14 hours after I took it. Slept for about 18. Missed softball practice and stuff. And everybody on my team's like, what the fuck were you doing yesterday? You were out. You had your phone off and everything. And I was like, yeah, I had the flu. Mind you, it's in the middle of fucking summer. And they're like, yeah. Well, you ain't playing next week. I was like, fuck it. Who cares? Well, that pretty much concludes it for this podcast for you guys. Sorry to cut it short, but I figured I'd just throw out some information out there, some little bit of entertainment for you guys, just to start off the channel a little bit. This is going to be titled Podcast Episode 1, Solo. And it is January 19th, actually. Just to record the date on this. And the next podcast I have, it is going to have a guest on it. I will make sure of that. Like I said, it's going to be Tish Johnson. I think she'll be over here tomorrow night. We'll record that and upload that for you guys. It's going to be much longer than this one. It's probably going to be about an hour or two podcast. So look forward to that. Now I'm just going to review this audio, make sure everything's good, and I'll upload it to YouTube for you guys. And thank you for listening.